Are you ready to get the hydrofacial glow? Loved in 87 countries across the world. It's not a facial, it's a hydrofacial. Now available across the UK. Visit hydrofacial.co.uk to find your nearest location.
You know, men don't talk. Men are useless at talking. They fart together, but they won't talk together.
We do both. That's the beauty of it.
Hey!
Hi, darlings. What? Oh, my goodness. Debbie, she's still in dark glasses.
Ta-da! I think, can you not smell the alcohol?
Yes, I can.
Oh, just like that. Do you know, I haven't been to sleep, girls. I've been up all night, all night.
Yeah.
Well, we were sort of partying into the early hours. I was singing until 2 o'clock this morning. Amazing gig. Really amazing. Thank you for coming, girls.
Well, you're welcome. It was fantastic, but I didn't stay till 2 o'clock. I'm afraid, Dee.
No, you didn't.
I was too drunk.
It was just the tip, wasn't it, darling? And then you were off home. Yeah.
Absolutely. I'll be announcing the next one soon, darling. In the next millennium.
Good. And your eyes still not better, Dee?
Well, no, because I had to put makeup on actually, so I had to be very careful. But it takes a few days for an eye infection to go, which is really annoying. But anyone who has an eye infection, I have got some very good advice, which is just warm water, cotton wool, and a little bit of Himalayan salt in it to dissolve in it.
I'm going to say, just because we need to cover ourselves, Dee is not a doctor, and some people might need antibiotic drops. So that works for Dee. But just saying, darling, hashtag health and safety.
Well, this is
Harriet is our talking and visual TNC.
Yeah, she is. Yes. Clarification, terms and conditions. Yeah,
exactly.
I thought you were talking about something in the tits, but never mind.
Oh,
always has to get down to her breast.
Goodness, I hadn't thought of that.
At the TV Awards, sorry to talk about them again.
You're talking about them again. Sorry.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Yes. Sorry. Go on.
I met the head vet at Battersea.
Oh yes.
And he's going to come on the show.
Yay!
Ooh, wonderful. Oh, that's fantastic.
I'm still
Look forward to
coughing.
that.
I'm sorry. You see, the thing is that coffee, which is what I drink, clogs your clack.
Your what, darling?
Clap. Your voice.
Okay.
And I always drink it when we're doing the show, and I always have a cloggy clack. So in future, I'm not going to drink coffee anymore. So my clack is no longer clogged.
Your clack is no longer clogged. True. So
anyway, please bring some guests. I can't do this anymore.
Well, today's extraordinary because we have a fabulous guest. He's a really accomplished composer, an amazing radio presenter, has his own show in Wales, and has also had his own show for HTV. And it's the amazing Mal Pope.
Good afternoon. How are you all? Nice to see you.
Oh, Mal, it's great.
Darling, you can underscore the whole show if you wouldn't mind.
When it gets a bit tense, a little minor chords, a little bit. Yeah. I could do that.
Mal, you've got a very special release, haven't you, for Black History Month, and a story to accompany that. Can you fill us in, please?
Yeah, so it seems odd, a white guy should be so involved in black gospel music. But when I was about 15, I saw a guy called Andre Crouch. He was about 4 foot tall, 5 foot wide. He played the piano. He had a gospel choir behind him, and that music changed my life because I'd been brought up in a gospel hall, which had great music, and a lot of it was a cappella, but it didn't have that soul. And then years later, I got asked to do actually a TV program about the similarities between Welsh hymn singing and black gospel music, because both went through terrible times. Obviously, I'm not saying being in a mine was the same as slavery, but it's still, they needed a vision of heaven. And just on the trip, I met a guy called the Reverend Samuel Billy Kyles. I didn't know much about him beforehand, and he was he was the man who invited Martin Luther King to Memphis in 1968 for the garbage workers strike, and he had been with him in the Lorraine Motel that afternoon. he just told the stories about. I said, what did you talk about? And there was him and a guy called the Reverend Ralph Abernathy, and they talked preacher talk, as he said, just the things that preachers talk about. And then he was calling his home church, calling his wife to say, "We're all ready. Jesse Jackson's just turned up." But he told the story about Martin Luther King looking down, and Jesse Jackson comes out. He says, "Jesse, you ain't dressed for dinner at Billy's house." And he says, "But I'm wearing my appetite." And so I get all these stories, and it's like touching history, isn't it? It's like touching history. And then the shot rang out, and he saw his friend fall, and he covered him in a blanket. And that was my love. And every time I went back to Memphis, because as strange things happened, I got asked to do the Elvis Presley Songwriting Festival, to be a judge every year in Tupelo for about 4 or 5 years. And I'd always go and see the Reverend Samuel Billy Coles. And to be honest, I'd ask him to bless me, because I thought, if this man is such a godly man, I want whatever he's got. But he told me this. So this is the story. He told me, if you look at the Lincoln Memorial speech with Martin Luther King, he says, if you listen to the speech, he's talking about economics, and people are bored. People are starting to shuffle. There's 250,000 people outside the Lincoln Memorial, and they're starting to shuffle. The great orator, Martin Luther King, and they're bored. A couple of weeks before, he'd been in a church, he'd been preaching. Mahalia Jackson had been the singer, and he sort of started riffing about this. He had a dream for his children that one day they'd be judged by the content of their character, not the color of their skin, and all this. He's just preaching. So behind him, Lincoln Memorial, Martin Luther King, 250,000 people, bored. Behind him, Mahalia Jackson's going, "Martin, tell him about the dream. Tell him about the dream." People will, economics is important, as we know, as we found out over the last 3 weeks, but people will always remember the dream. And so Dreaming Out Loud is a song that I wrote because of those experiences. And it's just come out as a single. I've got a great gospel choir. And that connection between Welshness, the Apostolic Church started in a place called Penagros in the 1920s. And they sent sort of missionary churches around the place. And in London, a lot of those apostolic churches have become black gospel churches. So a lot of the people singing on my record actually have been coming back and forth to Wales for their sort of apostolic convention for years. So I've known them for ages. So it's a real mixture of cultures, but hopefully with the same soul.
What was the tune and the sound that inspired you? What in your core started that composition?
It's I mean, I loved all the 70s stuff, like the Philadelphia tunes, and the choir be in the background. Ooh. So then I had an odd chord change. I went, "I've been thinking lately, this is the wrong way to live life, hiding in the shadows, frightened by the chances that maybe someday I'll be laughed at by the ones who know." Then the falsetto. "What's the point of living if walls can break and hold us before we have the chance to really be free? So don't you be downhearted, 'cause we can make a difference if we just believe." And this is the choral bit when the choir comes in. "I'm gonna dream out loud. I'm gonna try to say that your love can conquer all. Ooh, that there's another way. I'm gonna take my chances. I'm gonna seize the day. I'm gonna turn around, walk against the crowd. I'm gonna dream out loud." And the interesting thing another thing that Billy taught me, I spent a lot of time with him, and he said Martin Luther King wasn't a saint. When he was being presented with the Nobel Peace Prize, the week before, the FBI had sent him and his wife tape recordings of him in a hotel room with other women, okay, with a threat to expose him. And what Billy Carl said, he wasn't a saint, because if you make him a saint, what he did, you can't do, because you're not a saint. He wasn't a saint, but he chose to walk that path, knowing that really he probably wouldn't make his 40th birthday. And, there's no excuse for any of us not to dream out loud, particularly, as I say, at the moment.
That's so beautiful. It's so informative and wonderful to hear it. Thank you so much.
Honestly, Mal, no. I have to say, you can't see because I've got dark glasses on for a reason, but you know what? I'm in tears. It's just that was so beautiful. That
Oh,
is
thank you.
stunning.
Okay, let me.
Oh.
Can I change the subject?
Yes,
Can I
yes.
yeah. I'm just looking at Dee now. For about a year of my life, Dee, people used to call me Virgil, right? Because I was such a massive Thunderbirds. Because I wanted to be Virgil Tracy. I got to 9 at my first classes. They called me Joe 90. It's like we must be related somehow or another,
Well,
Dee. Because
she's got she's got a sty on her eye.
Oh, I thought it was Catherine Zeta-Jones for a minute, because she always wears those glasses when she's
I've
home.
decided to keep the look though, Mel.
It's nice. I like it.
I did
like
a gig I did my first gig in a long time last night.
Right.
At Jazz After Dark. So I'm still suffering.
Isn't it great to be back out, isn't it? It's great to be back out and playing.
Wonderful.
4 gigs next month, so I'm looking forward to those. Looking forward to be back on the road.
Will you let us know where? Because I'd love to come and see you. I know we all would love to come and see you play.
Shall I tell you where I am? I'm in Astragunlais, right? I'm in Theatre Muldoon. I'm in Birthwells, near Llandrindod. It's a bit of a Welsh tour. It's actually the tour from 2020 that's finally come around after all these years. So, but they'd love to see. Obviously, they'd love to see you all there. I'll come to London soon. Well, actually, I'm doing a gig with Paul Jones. You know Paul Jones from the Manfred?
Yes, I know Paul Jones.
Oh, we're doing a charity concert at the Kensington Temple on the 30th of October. It's a Sunday night with the London Community Gospel Choir, and I think the choir are going to sing that song with me, which will be
amazing.
Dream come true.
And sorry to change the subject completely, but Harriet,
yes, dear.
Do you still have your farting app? Because I thought I heard a very strange fart.
Yes, I do. Wait, one moment.
It was me. No, it wasn't.
Any particular fart sound you wanted?
Oh, a nice wet one, I think.
Oh,
ladies.
I do apologise on their behalf. You choose, Mal.
You choose, Mal.
Well, what do they say? Do farts have lumps? Splatter.
Splatter. One moment.
Oh,
that was a splatter, wasn't it?
Maybe I think we might do. We can do 3 a.m. tacos.
Yes.
Oh,
gosh. Mal, what have you walked into? Mind you, I think you're so lovely, and I think the girls knew that they'd get away with this.
Sorry, but I did think I heard a fart, which is why.
Do we need to hear? As some of you are grandmas, I'm not. Do we want grandma fart?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah. Go on.
Because there's an old proverb, isn't it? Every man loves the smell of his own fart. I mean, I wasn't expecting to share that with you. Apparently, it's a really old.
It sounds like an Indian tribe.
I've got, but Zuka is the final one. So, darling, you need to know it's called Fart Studio.
Fart Studio. I must download it straight away.
You're saying, it is like an old Indian saying, isn't it? From around the campfire, every man loves the smell of his own fart.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
yes.
Blazing Saddles, the Bees.
Blazing Saddles. Oh, Blazing! The fart scene in Blazing Saddles. I remember watching it in the cinema, and I remember just laughing for days afterwards.
This wasn't how I was expecting this to go. No. I thought we'd all talk about the menopause or about.
No, dear. We can't share the menopause with you, but we can share farting. And I think the one thing is that our parents' generation wouldn't have had this chat, but we can all sit randomly, just meeting and talk about farts. Who wants anything else? Thank you very much, life.
Absolutely. But can I change the subject now, please?
Blazing Saddles. Sorry, Mel, we've got completely off
that's right.
here. But before social media, when you saw Blazing Saddles, you had no idea that scene was going to happen.
Yes.
And now you can't keep anything secret. You always know that there's something going to happen that's like that. Yeah. It's such a shame, isn't it?
Yeah. And one last thing, my friend in the Northeast, we got very close, and he said we are now farting friends, which means that it's a friend that you don't have to hide it. You know that you're really close.
Real friends.
So I've been trying to change the subject.
Thank you, Dee.
If I can get a word in with these farting people. You said about the Indian tribes, Debbie. Yeah. And I was actually born just outside of Memphis, believe it or not.
No.
Yeah. And when I go back to that, I don't like the surrounding areas very much for obvious reasons, but I love Memphis. I love Beale Street. And when I went back the last time, a few relatives, I toured around seeing relatives, and they actually said that we had Native American blood. And when I got back, I said to my mother, "Is that true?" And she said, "Oh yeah, but they all have," meaning me, of course. But she had never mentioned that to me. It's Choctaw blood, yeah. And I've been looking at the Choctaw Indians, and my ex-husband said, "Yes, definitely, because your temper is like a Choctaw."
It's an amazing part of the world, isn't it? I mean, with all the reservations,
yeah,
they're incredibly welcoming. And I went back there 4 or 5 times, and the music. I went down to Clarksdale in the Delta to go to church with the Reverend Willie Morganfield, who's actually Muddy Waters' first cousin. So he preached the same way. He's a hoop. It's called hooping. Where they go, well, Lord say, yeah. And I said, so is it like, is the music like preaching? He said, no. So preaching is the meat, but the music's the gravy. The music's the gravy.
Fabulous. Isn't that wonderful? Oh my God. Yeah, you and I should definitely meet up and have a chat about it.
Oh, I'd love
it. What are you doing next? When's your next composition? What's
happening? Oh, well, yeah, I've got a Christmas record coming out. Now, this is a tricky one. I've done it. There's a lady called Bronwyn Lewis from up in the Neath Valley, the Dulles Valley. She was in a film called Pride. She sang a song called Bread and Roses in Pride. She's a lovely girl. And what she's done is made a career of herself of recording hits in Welsh. Right, so she'll and Greg James picked it up on Radio 1. So we're going to do a new version of a song called Away in a Manger. And we've done it in English all the way through. We've done it in Welsh all the way through. We've done it in English and Welsh. And I think the single's going to be English and Welsh. So I'll do the English bits. I speak Welsh a little bit, but not as well as Bronwyn. So that's going to be the next record coming out. And I just keep going. I mean, it's my, I don't look it. It's my 50th year of making records next year. So, because I was 12 years old when John Peel gave me a session on Radio 1. And then 6 weeks later, Elton John phoned the house. Thank goodness next door weren't on the line, because we had a party line in those days. If he'd have called at the wrong time, it never happened. And then I signed to Elton John's record label. So that was 1973. I was 13 by the time I signed the contract. So next year is... You do the math, as they say. But yeah, so I just keep going. This is what I do. What am I going to do when I grow up? This is it. I'm not going to grow up.
Oh, Mark, can you take us out with a song, please?
Yeah, you might like this, or you might like this one. You might not. This is a song I wrote. So I write musicals as well, right? And I wrote a song about my wife and her mates used to meet every day after taking the kids to school, and they'd go for a cup of coffee, and she'd come back, and I'd debrief her. We'd go through, because everybody's life looks perfect, doesn't it? And I got to tell you some of the stories they told me. Well, they made my hair curl, and so I found out that the barista in the cafe used to call them the Cappuccino Girls. So it started with a song. Bonnie Tyler recorded it, which was lovely, and it became a musical. So the Cappuccino Girls, goes like this. Hey, yeah, let's hear it for the Cappuccino Girls. Girl one is a picture-perfect wife. Credit cards, manicures, a picture-perfect life. She drives a sports car given as a present when the baby came. She's bored to tears, so she reaches for the sherry. Wastes an hour watching Jerry Springer on the telly. Cries as she thinks another 20 years of this, she's gonna go insane. Hey, yeah, let's hear it for the Cappuccino Girls. Make the coffee last, putting off the chores, laughing at the antics that go on behind closed doors. Hey, yeah, you're looking good, you Cappuccino Girls. Holding on together, hoping everybody survives, just like desperate housewives. And then we find out about Girl 2 and Girl 3. And
amazing.
Oh my goodness.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You are incredible.
The Cappuccino women and make it about us.
The plan is, so we've done Cappuccino Girls 1, Cappuccino Girls 2, a couple of years later, and the third one is... It's the menopause years. Yeah, exactly. It's trying to follow these girls, these three, because just like yourselves, men don't talk. Men are useless at talking. They fart together, but they won't talk together.
We do both. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah, we do.
But women talk, and they get through things. And the idea is these three very unusual women who meet just by chance. They get themselves through life together. That long-term friendship, and that's what the Cappuccino girls are. They meet for coffee, and they get through life.
Amazing.
Life throws at them.
Oh,
So yeah,
love that. I love that, Mal. You're incredible. You've been so brilliant. Thank you so much. We'd love to have you on again.
Oh, I'd love it. Yeah, well, diolch yn fawr iawn. Thank you very much, and all the very best with the Wonderbirds.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Oh, love that voice, and that he's
I know, it's just what we've had such fantastic, interesting people.
Oh,
just it's been
stunning in every way.
And also farting. I don't know if you've heard this, and I don't know if it's going to be on the actual show, but there is a lot of buzzing that sounds like a fart.
Really?
Microphone.
His microphone is buzzing. Yeah. You sure he wasn't farting?
Well, I was going to say, you think I'm using a fart app? No, darling, it's all me.
could have been honey or beanie.
Not taking my glory. No.
Well, I think we'll see you next week. I'm going now. Goodbye.
Yes, I'll get to bed. Bye.